Good evening, Dhamma friends. Welcome back to another session of OPRC class, day 115, and Dhammapada verse 97. So let us start our class by paying respect to the Buddha. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Good evening, Dhamma friends. Welcome back again. So today we are still moving with Arahanta Vagga, the chapter in the Dhammapada about enlightened beings. So today we have another very wonderful stanza to discuss. For those who are joining for the first time for our class, I just want to share with you that our order of the class is that first I read the stanza, the particular stanza, Pali Dhammapada stanza. Then I let others read groups by groups. Let's say someone already raised the virtual hand to read, and then you don't have to worry because I will give you a common chance at the end. After that, we are going to look at the literal meaning of the stanza. What's the literal meaning? And then the contextual meaning of the stanza. Then the story, and then what can we learn and what to learn for your lay life. Sometimes you learn a lot of things about monastic life. It might not resonate sometimes. So we are looking at how the stanza works with regard to lay life, right? So then let us get into the stanza now. You can see here, we have the lesson 115 means we have been doing classes like 115 classes including today for the last 2.5, almost going to be 3 years by this June. So and then today we are going to conduct 97th stanza of Dhammapada. So we have also conducted 96 sessions with regard to each Dhammapada stanza in the past. Okay. Dhammapada 97, Arahanta Vagga, whose teachings about the fully enlightened liberated ones. Asaddo akatanyo cha sandichedo cha yonaro hatavakaso vantaso save uttama bodhiso. Asaddo akatanyo cha sandichedo cha yonaro hatavakaso vantaso save uttama bodhiso. A very insightful stanza. We have to discuss a lot with regard to each Pali word that it talks about, each line. All right, so now I'm going to give chance, opportunity to groups. So group one, anybody from group one, please raise your hand. Oh, yes, please.
Thank you, Hotu Bhante. Thank you. Asado akatanyucha sandi chedo cheyo naro hatta wakaso wantaso sawe utama poriso.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Bhante.
And group two. Kim, sorry.
Thank you, Bhante. Asado akatanyocha sandicha docha yonaro hata vakaso wantaso save utama poriso.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
And group three, Lisa. Yes.
Good evening, Bhante.
Good evening.
Asado akatanu che sandihi che do che yo naru. Hatava kaso van taso save utama poriso.
Great.
Thank you,
And
Bhante.
group 4, KB on.
Good evening, Bhante.
Good evening.
Asado akatanu che sandi chedo che yo naro. Hata vakaso vantaso save utama poriso.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
And group 5. Yes, Melinda, please.
Thank you, Bhante. Asado akatanu che sandi chedo che yo naro. Hata vakaso vantaso save utama poriso.
Okay, great.
Thank you,
And
Bhante.
group 6. Yeah, same form, please.
Thank you, Bhante. Asatu akatanu che sanji chetu che yo naro. Hatawa kaso wandaso save utama poriso.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Bhante.
And group 7. Group 7. Yeah, Susie, please.
Good evening, Bhante.
Good evening.
Asado akatanu che sandi cedo ceyo naro. Hata vakaso bantaso save utama poriso.
Okay, great. And group 8, Doris.
Good evening, Bhante.
Good evening.
Asado akatanu che sandi cedo che yo naro. Hata vakaso vantaso save utama poriso.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Bhante.
And now I'm inviting others to read. If anybody like to read, please raise your virtual hand and I will go by me. So we'll start with Chan. Chan, please.
Good evening, Bhante.
Good evening.
Okay. Asado akatanu cha sandi cedo cha yo naro. Hata vakaso vantaso save utama poriso.
Can you read the first line again, please?
Asado.
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 Asado. Yes.
Asado. Okay.
Yes. Okay, that's fine.
Sorry. Thank you. Thank you, Bhante.
And then Portugal, please.
Good evening. Thank you, Bhante.
Good evening.
Asado akatanu che sandi cedo che yo naro. Hata wakaso wantaso save utama poriso.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Bhante.
And it's Jenny.
Yeah. Good evening, Bhante.
Good evening.
Asado akatanu che sandi cedo che yo naro. Hata wakaso wantaso save utama poriso.
Great.
Thank you.
Tupen.
Good evening, Bhante.
Beautiful.
Asado akatanu che sandi cedo che yo naro. Hatawa kaso wantaso sawe utama poriso.
Great.
Thank you, Bhante.
Seri.
Sukihotu, Bhante. Asado akatanu che sandi chedo che yo naro. Hata wakaso wantaso sawe utama poriso.
Great.
Thank you, Bhante.
And Jane, please.
Good evening, Bhante.
Good evening.
Asado akatanu che sandi cedo che yo naro. Hata vakaso vantaso save utama poriso.
Great.
Thank you.
And Success.
Thank you, Bhante. Asado akatanyo cha, santicedo cha yo naro, hata vakaso vantaso, serve utama poriso.
Great.
Thank you.
And Suri.
Evening, Bhante.
Evening.
Asado akatanyo cha, sandicedo cha yo naro, hata vakaso vantaso, serve utama poriso.
Great.
Thank you, Bhante.
Chompakla.
Good evening, Bhante.
Evening.
Asado akatanyo che, sandi chedo che yo naro, hata vakaso vantaso, save utama poriso.
Great. And then
Thank you,
Margaret.
Bhante.
Yes.
Evening, Bhante.
Evening.
Asado akan tanyo che, sandi cedo che yo naro. Hatta wakaso vantaso, save utama poriso.
Okay.
Thank you, Bhante.
And Mei. Yes.
Thank you, Bhante.
Yes.
Asado akatanyu che sandi cedo che yo naro. Hata wa kaso vantaso sawe utama poriso.
Okay. Great.
Thank you, Bhante.
And then 9.
Good evening, Bhante.
Good evening.
Asado akatanyo che, sandi cedo che yo naro, hata vakaso vantaso, serve utama poriso.
Great.
Thank you, Bhante.
Anyone else who would like to read? Yes, Laisha, please.
Good evening, Bhante.
Good evening.
Asado akatanucha satitedo te yonaro hatawaso wa naso
Atavakaso.
atawakaso wanaso sabe utama paliso.
Save Uttama Poriso.
Sabe utama paliso.
Would you like to read again?
Yes.
No,
Yes,
the more
Bhante.
you read, the better you write. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Asado akatanucha satitedo te yonaro atawakaso wantaso sabe utama paliso.
Poriso.
Thank you, Bhante.
Great. Anyone else who would like to read? Perhaps we can ask our newcomers if you would like to read. Can try. Our newcomers. Maybe Suilin, would you like to read?
Okay, Bhante.
Okay.
Thank you,
Please.
Bhante.
Yeah, you can try.
Asabado akatanuja santicedo che yo naro hata wakaso vantaso save utama poriso.
Good, great. All right. I think at this point we will move on to the explanation side. Asadu akatanyu che sandhichedu che yonaro hatavakaso vantaso save uttama poriso. Now let us take a look at the translation, a literal translation. Asad. Now, before we go to asaddu, may I know what is saddu? What does saddu mean here?
Saddha, is it?
Huh?
Saddha.
Sadda basically means
Confidence.
trust in the
Trust.
triple J, right?
Yeah. Yes.
But here, asaddu.
Without trust.
Asaddu means no
Without
sadda. No sadda. That is a problem. That's what we're going to discuss today. In this stanza, it teaches us that Arahan Sariputta in the story, that he doesn't believe a particular kind of saddha is not necessary. Right? This is where other monks were so confused. But anyway, asaddu means no saddha. But how do we understand that? Asaddu here means, let me tell you upfront, there are two meanings to understand here. Let's see here. Okay. Having personally verified trust in the Buddha and no longer placing trust in other teachings or their teachers. Okay. Now, for unenlightened beings, ordinary people, what could be the only way to get to know the Buddha's teachings? What is the only way that we can use get to know the teachings of the Buddha? The only way is to trust the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. Right? It is like that you are going to, let's say you haven't had honey before. First time you're going to have honey. So what would you do in the first place? You go for reviews, huh? The particular honey, you go for reviews. You want to know what other people have said about it. You want to know how other people perceive about it. And you only have that kind of knowledge about it. But what is the experience? What is the perception when you eat the honey and then want to think about the honey? That could be a little different experience, right? Knowing from other person or other people and knowing by ourselves. Then it's going to be a different honey experience compared to the first one, right? So in the same way, Arahan Sariputta, in the story, what we can understand is that Arahan Sariputta believes that his saddha is personally verified. That is why he says the unverified saddha is not necessary for him, not for us. But we need that unverified saddha. Now, this could be a problem to many people when they learn suttas without saddha. They go to internet and they try different suttas and translations, right? And then meanings might get them more complicated, right? And different translations, right? That's why it's very important to have some saddha and then to get into the study. The stanza teaches us that we have 5 spiritual faculties, not sense faculties. Huh? There are 6 sense faculties. This stanza teaches us that there are 5 spiritual faculties. So just like how we have sensory sense faculties, we also have spiritual faculties. But the level of those spiritual faculties could vary from one individual to another individual. What are they? Saddha, Viriya, Sati, Samadhi, Panya. Saddha is a spiritual faculty. Viriya is a spiritual faculty. Sati is a spiritual faculty. Samadhi is a spiritual faculty. Panya is a spiritual faculty. In other words, what does it say? We all have Saddha. We have a limited version of Saddha already, although you practice or not. We have a limited version of Viriya. We also have mindfulness. You are born with mindfulness. You don't have to obtain it. The problem is the mastering part, improving the part. And then Samadhi, you also have concentration. And you also have a basic wisdom. Now, in order for unenlightened individuals, ordinary humans, to learn and then practice Buddha's teachings, they have to first trust in the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. In this case, Buddha. Without trust in the Buddha, don't touch suttas. Why? Then it will merely become an intellectual game. You pick one sutta, you pick another sutta, you're going to be pretty much intellectual on. That is not going to work, right? So that's why here Arahant Sariputta, actually this is what Buddha teaches. Arahant Sariputta, actually this is about Arahant Sariputta. Arahant Sariputta says he has no unverified faith, trust about the Buddha Dhamma Sangha. That's why asadhu. Okay? But this does not say that saddha is not important. Different people start with saddha differently, end up with saddha different. Arahant Sariputta has that saddha, verified saddha, but we have the usual normal saddha. Right? For him to attain Nibbana and then to see the Buddha, he doesn't need saddha anymore because we already come to the enlightenment. He doesn't need it. That's why he's asadhu. Asadhu. Because he has personally verified trust in the Buddha because he has attained Nibbana. Plus, he doesn't place trust in other teachings or their teachers. Now, sometimes there are people who are saying that all religions are same equal. Right? Isn't it? When they go to interfaith dialogues, yes, I mean, say for instance, all religious philosophies, teachings supposed to talk about peace. But it doesn't say that their direction, their purpose of that particular teaching is same. So what does it say? What does it say by not trusting in other teachers? That means you trust in the Buddha. When you trust in the Buddha, you only want to trust in him. And you only want to follow him. Can you tell me one example, one thing that you do to show it in your daily life? Tell me one example that you are really holding it to yourself and you are doing it. This particular thing, that you only trust in the Buddha and you need him very much seriously for your practice. Can someone tell me one thing you are doing?
Refuge, Bhante, taking refuge.
Taking refuge. Before any ceremony going to start, before a Dhamma talk, before a puja, before a ceremony, any ceremony, even before chanting, how are you going to get into that particular ceremony? Especially how are the monks conducting the ceremony? They will ask you to say sadhu 3 times, give us sadhu 3 times, and they'll ask you to pay homage to the Buddha, Namo Tassa Bhagavate. And what will they do? They will tell you, we are going to give you 3 refuge, tisarana, and then give you 5%. And then they are going to do whatever the thing that they want. Dhamma talks. Why is it? Why tisarana is very important? What is tisarana? Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sangham saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi buddhang. Dutiyampi dhammang. Dutiyampi sangham. Tatiyampi buddhang. Tatiyampi dhammang. Tatiyampi sangham. Then 5%. May I know the meanings of these? Buddhang saranang gacchami. Sarana, refuge. I go to the Buddha. I go to the Dhamma. I go to the Sangha. Secondly, I go to the Buddha. Tutiyampi Buddha. Secondly, I go to the Dhamma. Secondly, I go to the Sangha. Tatiyam. Thirdly, I go to the Buddha. I go to the Dhamma. Why? First, second, third. Why? Why is it so serious? If you do it in English, you will be very serious. Why? It is because you need this trust. You need this trust. Without this trust, don't study anything. Don't study Buddhism. Don't study Sutta studies. Don't listen to a Dhamma talk. Because If you really want to follow and become an Arya Savak, a noble disciple, you must have that Saddha. But you know what will happen to you one day? With this trust, you are studying, learning. One day, suppose you are going to be enlightened, at that point, you will not refer to that Saddha anymore because you have seen the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha in your own spiritual journey. That's when you are saying that I'm not going to trust in any other teacher. I only want to trust in the Buddha Dhammas. That's what you are doing in the Tisarna. That's what you are telling indirectly. I only go to the Buddha. I only go to the Dhamma. I only go to the Sangha. But you are respecting all other religions. Right? You have that perspective. Right? So, this is what we understand by Asadhu, because Arahant Sariputta has verified Saddha in his personal enlightenment journey. So he doesn't need our way of connecting to the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. Second, Akatanyucha. Akatanyucha. What is Katanyu?
Katanyu is gratitude.
Gratitude.
That is not what this means here. This is why Pali gives a lot of meanings. That is
Awareness
what
of
he gives.
Nibbana.
Huh?
Aware of Nibbana.
It's Nibbana.
Yeah, so how to understand this Pali word? Akatanyu. What is Akata? Akata means Nibbana. Another word for Nibbana is Akata. Well, take a look. Akata. Akata means Nibbana. See, we have unit here. Akata. New means knower. Knower of the Nibbana. So now, having verified the Buddha in his own personal way, in his enlightenment journey, and also knowing the Nibbana, Akatan, Asaddu, Akatan. And at the same time, also, Chedu, Sandhi, Chedu. Sandhi means cut. Cut. Sorry, Chedu means cut. Sandhi means bonds. What bonds are they? The cycles of karma and kilesa. We call it as Kamma Vatta and Kilesa Vatta. What is Vatta?
Round.
Cycles.
Cycle.
So we have cycles of Kamma, cycles of Kilesa. That is why we are in the Sansara. But for Arahants, they have cut those cycles of Kamma and Kilesa. Sandhi, those cycles or ties or bonds. Chedo means cut. Now, may I ask you, what is our cycle of karma? What is our cycle of kilesa? How to understand that part? Buddhism understands, so Buddha teaches us that unenlightened beings, they have ties or bonds to karmic cycles, their own personal karmic cycles, and also their own personal defilement cycles, akusala cycles. How to understand that? Now we are creating kusala akusalas, right? So we have kusala akusala activities that are happening from morning to evening. And then that is a cycle, because we already have been bringing that cycle from many, many lives. And we are bringing that forward. And kilesa vatta, we have also done kilesas in the past. Unenlightened beings' role is to create a lot of kilesas, right? And then those kilesas are in rotation, right? Sometimes you will understand that you have a certain akusala state. Let's say you are a very jealous person. You are very jealous, more than an environmental factor. Then, but you don't know, perhaps it might come from your past life. In the past life, the only thing you did for the whole life is, while working, while having a family, was to be jealous about other people. Being jealous about everything, anything that was happening to you. Then what would happen? What would happen to you? You brought it forward to this life as a part of the cycle of defilements. Right? That's why we have to cut these defilements in our daily life. Karma also, at least we have to do the kusala side. At least we try. We try. That's the best thing, right? To say. So now Arahants have cut their cycle of karma and kilesa. How have they cut? Have they cut in the middle of the cycle or from the root of the cycle?
Root.
From the root. How do we cut these two cycles? When we want to do a good karma, we cut it a little bit in the middle. And then again, it is coming back, right? Or there is a big event coming up, meditation activity. We cut it a little bit. And at the end of the day, when you go home, maybe you forget about everything and then again coming back. Actually, the best way is they uprooted those, can say, cut them permanently. So, Sandicchedocha Yonaro means if there is someone who has cut the bonds or ties to the cycles of karma and kilesa, at the same time, if that person has personally verified the Buddha Dhamma Sangha in his or her own enlightenment journey, supposing the person has already become enlightened, and at the same time, the person knows Nibbana, Akatan. Hatava kaso, vantaso. Hatava kaso, avakaso. Avakaso means, this is the Pali. Avakaso, opportunities. What opportunities? Now, hata means destroy. What opportunities have been eliminated by these enlightened people? Opportunities for rebirth and sensual pleasure. Okay? Hatava kaso. Actually, vantaso means sensual, but we can say hatava kaso, destroyed opportunities for rebirth. Hatava kaso. How do they destroy the opportunities? Do we have opportunities for the next life? How to understand the opportunities we have for the next life in our daily life, in this life? If you are trying not to take care of your thoughts, if you are continuously engaging in akusala activities, then you are creating more opportunities for the samsara. Right? But Arahants, they have eliminated, overcome all the opportunities for any next life. Right? Hatha avakaso, no opportunities. At the same time, vantaso, they have also eliminated aso. Aso means?
Desire.
Huh? Yeah, so aso means sensual pleasures. They have also eliminated the opportunities for sensual pleasures, because their enlightenment is rooted in the renunciation. So when the enlightenment is rooted in the renunciation, what more sensual pleasures are to be, experienced for them. So no opportunity for what do you call rebirth. Thereby no sensual pleasure motivations with regard to them. Atavakaso, vantaso. Save uttama poriso. So this kind of a person, poriso means person, is an uttama poriso. Uttama means
Supreme
person. So the stanza teaches us how to become a supreme human. So what kind of human do you want to be? Supreme human? No. What is the opposite of this? You name it. You pick the adjective about it. So Buddha teaches us how to become a supreme person, supreme human. So in order for us to become a supreme person, our saddha has to go to a level in which we are going to personally verify the Buddha. We cannot do it just by reading a Dhamma book only. It's through the enlightenment only. At the same time, that will also help us to attain Nibbana. As a consequence of Nibbana, it will happen. And the person knows Nibbana fully. At the same time, asaddu akatanyocha sandicchedocha. This particular supreme person, supreme human, will already cut ties, bonds to cycles of karma and kilesa. Thereby, the person, the supreme person, has no opportunity for rebirth, which has any continuation of sensual pleasures. That is how we become supreme humans. So this is this idea, this teaching was given to Venerable Sariputta's character in a story. Okay, can we read the whole meaning of the stanza? Let's scroll down. A person who, having personally verified trust in the Buddha, no longer places trust in other teachings or their teachers, and who knows the unconditioned awakening, Nibbana, has cut the bonds that sustain the cycle of karma and defilement. Kammavatta, kilesavatta. Such a person has destroyed the opportunities, avakaso, for future rebirth and has expelled sensual craving. Aso one. Rooted in clinging or attachment to sense pleasures through the realization of Four Noble awakenings. You can see Sotapatti, Sakadagami, Anagami. Indeed, such a one is a supreme person. All right, so we will now go to the story, and then we will look at the larger, broader meaning of the stanza. Actually, the story was about Arahant Sariputta. Arahant Sariputta was an Arahant who had 4 analytical knowledges. Today we are going to learn about Patisambhida. What is it? Patisambhida. Patisambhida means not all Arahants attain Nibbana with 4 analytical knowledges. Only certain Arahants, only few Arahants can attain Nibbana with Patisambhida. So one day, when 30 monks were heading to Jetavanarama from somewhere, they actually came to see the Buddha, pay respect to him. And the Buddha noticed that those 30 monks, they had what you call certain eligibility to become Arahants with Patisambhida, 4 analytical knowledges. Now, we will talk about Patisambhida later, but now at the moment I just tell you, there are 2 types of Arahants. Arahants without Patisambhida, Arahants with Patisambhida. So Arahant Sariputta is the most interesting example who had Chatupatisambhida. So then Buddha wanted to ask something from Arahant Sariputta so that those 30 monks will be motivated into the practice and attain Nibbana with 4 analytical knowledges. So what did he do? Because when the Buddha teaches Dhamma, he does not simply teach Dhamma. What does he first do? Not like a today's monk, will go and give a Dhamma talk just right away. First, he checks what could be a better Dhamma talk to give to these people. And if enlightenment is very much potential for those people, and he wants to make that happen. Okay? So I could say that most of the Dhamma talks that he gave were based on any eligibility, any potential speedy eligibility for those people to become enlightened. That's why you are hearing Buddha gave a Dhamma talk, everybody was enlightened. It didn't happen in normal way because Buddha checked who to give the Dhamma talk. That's how people were enlightened. Okay? It's not that everybody, whoever came to the temple after Dhamma talk, they attained Nibbana. No. Sometimes he didn't give a Dhamma talk. People were there. Because he understood not the good time to give a Dhamma. And these people will not understand what I'm going to talk. Sometimes he delayed. Right? So that's why when he checked the eligibility of different people, then only he picked up the right Dhamma concept and then he gave the Dhamma. So here he understood that these 30 monks have eligibility to become arahants with Upatisam. But if I give a direct Dhamma talk to them, they will not be able to attain Nibbana. So, see what he did. He did a very wise thing. If I talk to Arahant Sariputta, then they will overhear our discussion, thereby they will attain Nibbana. You know, sometimes you will hear a lot of Dhamma things when you hear what other people are talking with regard to Dhamma. Not that you go and listen to a Dhamma talk. Right? Now, you don't think that you don't have to go to a Dhamma talk. Right? I'm not asking that way. Sometimes when you hear two people are talking Dhamma, you are the third person, you are simply observe what they are talking. And then certain things can happen. So this is something similar. So the Buddha talked to Arahant Sariputta, asked some questions. Actually, the first question was said, Arahant Sariputta, do you know the five, of course he knows, you know about five spiritual faculties, Saddha, trust in the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, triple gem, Virya, energy, then Saddha, Virya, Sati, mindfulness, actually right mindfulness, Samadhi, right concentration, and Panya, wisdom. Okay. So what do you think? Normally people listen to these five qualities, five spiritual faculties from a Dhamma. So that means they have to believe in the Buddha or whoever who's giving that Dhamma. So how about you? How do these spiritual faculties relate to you, especially to your enlightenment? And then Arahant Sariputta said, Bhante, when I take the first one, first spiritual faculty, Saddha, I don't simply trust in the Buddha, the way how an ordinary person understands. So the ordinary monk were not happy. Oh, Arahant Sariputta rejected the trust about the Buddha in front of the Buddha. Right? So it's not a good thing. I mean, if this happens in one of our discussions, we are also not happy, right? I mean, how come you are saying trusting about the Buddha is not supporting? Actually, what he meant was, as an arahant with Patisampida, how I trust in the Buddha, my Saddha is different now. And I have personally verified the Buddha. Saddha is still important, but not the Saddha that a normal person embarks on at the beginning of a Dhamma journey. Say, for instance, the first day you came to the Vihara, what would you do? Tell me your first experience to the Vihara. You don't know any Dhamma, anything. You are curious. In your own words, you might say, I'm a Vesak Buddhist. I would like to go and, pour the water into, maybe bathe the small Buddha or whoever, right? That experience, you had no knowledge about the Dhamma at that point. But what was the feeling you had to go to the Vihara, go to the temple, and to engage in the activities? some kind of trust. The Buddha is a really blessed person. And when I do that, and the Buddha will bless me, right? And thinking about him, you don't know anything about. You don't know what is Itipiso, what is a Dhammapada. You have no understanding about, right? So what does it say? Everybody starts the journey in those informal ways. So then in that informal way, what is happening to many is that they have their own saddha to start the journey. But that saddha is not relevant to me now, Arahant Sariputta says. But it doesn't say that is bad. Because he is talking from his faith. The question was asked by the Buddha for him. And Arahant Sariputta said, I don't depend on the Buddha the way how an unenlightened person engages. And so also the other four spiritual faculties. I think before we continue this story, may I explain a little bit about the spiritual faculties? I don't know, many of you have a certain knowledge about these five. May I know what are the sense faculties? Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, mind, right? These are sense faculties. Do we all have these six? We all have, right?
Yes.
Buddhism also teaches us that what is more important to all of us, other than monitoring, observing, managing our sense faculties, is elevating, improving, enhancing our spiritual faculties. We also have spiritual faculties. So when you enhance them, you have two challenges. One is to identify your spiritual faculties. Second is balancing out these spiritual faculties. Now, what is saddha? Saddha is the preliminary requirement for you to engage with the Dhamma. If you don't have a saddha, trust about the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, whether you verify it or not, you can't continue the Dhamma journey. Say if you go to the Vihara, you respect the Buddha, you respect the Dhamma, also you respect the Sangha members, right? Monks, nuns, you should have that, what you call, trust about. You don't need to know what they are doing, but that respect is important, right? That respect will help you to embark on the journey in a consistent, progressive manner. If you think that, oh, I don't need those people, I only go to internet and find the sutta, this and that, and I can learn Buddhism. No, you are not going to make it happen, because Buddha said your spiritual faculties start from saddha. Okay, so saddha is basically having, actually, let me tell you in a very interesting way, our saddha, trust about the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, you can say confidence or whatever, has to be unshaken. When you become a Sotapanna, your saddha will be actually unshaken. That means nobody can change your saddha. Nobody can change your saddha about the Buddha Dhamma Sangha. Actually, can someone change your saddha about triple gem? Sometimes. Okay? Is it possible for someone to change your saddha with regard to the Buddha? I don't think, because you have no problem with regard to that. Dhamma, or maybe a little bit. What about Sangha members? Right? You hear about a certain incident from somebody, maybe a scandal, maybe a story. Different people are here. Just like in other industries, right? When we hear something like that, we are not going to comment on it because we don't know. And we don't have to. Maybe we personally understand all unenlightened sentient beings have their flaws, have their own spiritual mistakes. And we are wisely responding to that. Not that you're going to be the busybody of disseminating that. Some people do it, right? When they hear the story, they are the distributors of the story. We don't have. That means you don't have saddha. Your saddha is lost. So please continue consistently. Continue with your saddha consistently. Don't let anybody ruin, destroy your saddha. But try to understand anything that is happening in this Buddha Sasana, especially in the contemporary modern world, in a upekha mind. Right? So that is number one, you have to improve, also balance. Then second, Saddha Virya, energy. What kind of energy is this? Arambha Dhatu, Nikkama Dhatu, Parakkama Dhatu. This is what the Virya is all about. Arambha means an energy to start our Dhamma practice. Then Parakkama, the continuation. Continuation of the energy. Sometimes you start the Dhamma journey, you come to a couple of classes, then you feel, I don't want to continue. There may be problems, but you have to continue. It is not about anybody, it's about you. Sometimes you don't know what they are talking, but still you attend because you know one day something will happen to me. A miracle can happen to me in my Dhamma journey. Who knows? But you are attending. You are trying to attend to all these classes, not even one speaker entrance. I mean, if you have time, if it is very relevant to you. And then Nikkamadat. Nikkamadat means you are trying to continue, just like in the second Parakkama, but you are going to go through any challenge, any struggle that is coming. When you practice Dhamma, when you truly practice Dhamma, only challenges come to you. Otherwise, the only challenge that comes to you is boredom. You are pretty bored about every single thing, right? When you don't know the true way to do it, every single thing will become a challenge. So, Virya means you have started your Dhamma journey. Regardless of what is happening to you, you want to continue. You want to continue. You are not looking for a goal. Nah? Don't look for a goal in your practice. When you look for a goal, then you will be unhappy. It takes time. But how long? We don't know. It depends on your practice. Right? So, okay, that's the second. Virya. Third, Saddha Virya, Sati, mindfulness. Actually, a better word can be awareness. Awareness is a better word, but people don't use it, because people use the English translation from the Western mindfulness process movement. Are we aware about what is happening to us from morning to evening? Perhaps you are aware in your own way, but are we aware in the Dhamma way? Are we aware what is happening to us in the Dhamma way? Perhaps not that much. We are doing that, not that much. So we are going to improve that level. What is happening to our mental states for the most part? Because every physical activity, any other thing will become a mental activity. So, are we really aware about our mental state? In shorter, Dhammanupassana, right? Satipatthana Sutta, we talk about it. And then, what about Saddha, Virya, Sati, Samadhi? This is not the Samadhi in the Satipatthana Sutta, what we call Noble Eightfold Path. Samadhi means concentration. What concentration is this? Concentration with regard to concentration with regard to the kusala mind, kusala thoughts, kusala chittasa ekaggata samadhi. Right? If I'm not mistaken, Arahant Dhammadina teaches a former husband, lay husband, Visakha. What is samadhi? Everybody talks about samadhi, samadhi, samadhi. Samadhi is not the concentration itself. Samadhi is the concentration with regard to the kusala thoughts. Our kusala thoughts need to be unified. They can be scattered here and there. Sometimes you can concentrate your akusala thoughts, right? Right? Even akusala thoughts can be unified. That is one samadhi. That is mikkha samadhi. So samadhi means we all have an ability to have another spiritual faculty called samadhi as a spiritual faculty. Finally, wisdom. What wisdom is this? Buddhist wisdom. Panya. What is panya in Buddhism? Being able to understand conditioned phenomena to be changing, subject to changes. Being able to understand that conditioned phenomena are subject to dukkha. Being able to understand that all mental states are not self, sabbe dhamma anatta. This is Buddhist panya. So now we also have it in different ways, but we have to improve it. Now, according to Arhan Sariputta, we have to balance out these five. Why? We have to improve first. Sometimes many people don't have this improvement. Let's say you are improving these five. Some people over-improve certain spiritual faculties. What if you have more saddha? Then other spiritual faculties will be less. Let's say you are only going for certain rituals only. That's when you are only going to rituals, right? You only believe about the efficacy, effectiveness, and miracles about the Buddha and all these temples and all that. That happens when you have
Blind faith.
too much. Too much means blind. Too much means unwise saddha. So we can't go that way. We have to balance that. What about if you have too much virya, energy, not normal energy, spiritual energy is so high, too high? What would happen to you? You are too excited. You are looking for the goal. You are very much goal oriented. I'm attending many classes, but still I am not a Sotapanna. What's going on? Something wrong with me. Right. You're always looking for the ROI from your spiritual practice, return of investment with regard to your spiritual practice. You can't do that. So people are trying to look for the goals, those goal-orientedness. Right? When you practice slowly, one day something will happen to you. Maybe next life, who knows? Don't try to fast track. Right? So what will happen to you is if you eat up food, if you fast track eating food, what will happen to you? Lots of food will not be digested in your body, right? You don't bite, you eat up, because you have to go somewhere. You don't let the body process the food. But if you eat slowly, what will happen to you? Body will be able to digest them slowly. Why? You give enough time for the body to digest them. In the same way, some people take a lot of teachings within a short time. So even the spiritual faculties cannot process them easily. So what will happen? Most of the teachings that they learn will be unprocessed in their spirituality. They won't be processed because you need to let it process naturally. That's why don't be overexcited. Don't fast track. Don't look for the shortcuts. Don't cut the corners in the spiritual practice. Just let it happen with a moderate level of energy in your spiritual energy. Third one, Saddha Virya Sati, mindfulness. Right? Mindfulness. What are we going to talk about here? What if you are too mindful? What would happen to you? You are too mindful. Then you are going to easily criticize other people, comment on other people very easily. Look, this is not the way you should do this. Because you have something in your mind, you're too mindful about things. And finally, you become a busybody to everybody, right? People don't like you. This person is a troublemaker. Even come to the vihara, you're a troublemaker. You just mind about your practice. So this is something very interesting about not becoming too mindfulness also has to be, awareness also has to be moderate to you, to other people. I don't know whether you have heard this idea that sati should not be overdone. Sati has to be improved and moderated, manage. And then the next one, Saddha, Virya, Sati, Samadhi, concentration. Concentration. What if you are too concentrated about everything? You have to improve if you don't have it. If you are too concentrated, then perhaps you are looking for miracles with regard to your concentration, jhanas. You want to go for a jhana easily, mystic experiences, you know. Most of the people, when we discuss about their meditation, they are talking about a lot of mystic experiences. I saw a black thing, I saw this, I was floating. Well, I mean, of course, we have kindness to explain, but when you look at it, it looks like they are too concentrated about something. Concentration is a generic experience, but you have to improve it and to moderate. And panya, wisdom. What is panya? As I said earlier, all conditioned phenomena are subject to changes, are changed. Therefore, they are subject to dukkha. Therefore, all the mental states where the dukkha and sankharas are rising are not self. You can't take the ownership of them. Actually, when you practice this, it will help you. But if you are going to too much practice them in your lay life, I'm talking the lay life, what would happen to you? If you are too much into this perspective, too much, not that you are moderating it. Sometimes it can bother your lay life. It can bother your married life even. It can bother your relationships. That's why you have to understand how not to over practice, how not to over cultivate, over develop these 5 spiritual faculties. All right, so Arahant Sariputta explaining them beautifully. The Buddha, I know we have to improve and also not to over practice, but to moderate. But I tell you, and I don't personally believe in the Buddha in the same way how I believed before my enlightenment. That's what I meant. So other monks at this point were confused and they were trying to talk about Arahant Sariputta in a different way. And they were talking that Arahant Sariputta perhaps insulted the Buddha in front of all of us. And the Buddha told them, no, he did not. He's an Arahant. He never does it. And what happened was that, what he meant was that his Saddha is not your Saddha. You are unenlightened beings. And he's an enlightened being. The way how he understands Saddha is through a personal verification. That's why he said as such. But it doesn't mean that he didn't need the trust about the Buddha. He had it. He appreciates, but at the moment, because I asked a real-time question, at the moment, Saddha to Arahant Sariputta is not believing in me from what he sees from other people, what he hears from other people, but through his personal verification. All right, so with this, now we are going to the notes and we will discover more information about the subject. Okay. Why Arahant Sariputta no longer needed trust? This is what we've been discussing, right? I mean, if you just have to understand what could have happened. Before tasting honey, you believe others when they say it is sweet. That is trust in the Buddha. But once you taste the honey yourself, you no longer rely on others' words. You know directly. Arahant Sariputta was like that. Ordinary people or unenlightened people follow the Dhamma through Saddha. That's Saddha. I mean, believing in what other people talk about the Buddha Dhamma. Noble disciples, those who have attained Nibbana, follow the Dhamma truth, direct knowledge, experience of the noble path. So that is the difference. Now we are going to discuss 8 main points about the story in short. Trust in the teacher as the beginning of the path. It is not underestimated. Okay. The story shows that the Saddha trust in the Buddha is an essential starting point in the Buddhist path. For most practitioners, the truths of the Dhamma are initially accepted through trust in the Buddha's enlightenment and compassion. Since the Nibbana has not yet been personally realized for most of the unenlightened beings, one needs to rely on the guidance of the Buddha and the testimony of the noble disciples. That's what we are doing through Sutta studies and all that, right? This trust is not blind devotion, but a functional confidence. It's a functional confidence that motivates practice. It opens the door to ethical discipline, meditation, wisdom, allowing practitioners to begin walking the path toward liberty. Functional confidence. We should have that functional confidence to go forward, right? I mean, that is our only way to have the motivation in our practice. Okay, and the next is direct realization surpasses belief. This is what happened to Arahant Sariputta. Arahant Sariputta's response reveals that the ultimate aim of Buddhist practice is direct experiential knowledge. This is asavakya jnana, right? Asavakya jnana, right? That means a nibbanic knowledge. When he said that he did not rely on trust in that manner, he was indicating that he had already realized the truth, noble truths, through personal insight. Once the Nibbana has been directly known, belief is no longer necessary as a foundation for certainty. This is what is relevant to us, but for them it is not necessary. Knowledge, noble truths knowledge, grounded in experience, becomes stronger than any form of borrowed conviction. This is what is happening to normal people. This reflects the Buddha's emphasis that the Dhamma should be understood through seeing and knowing for oneself. What does it say indirectly for lay people, for all of us? We have to test what we learn through all these studies. How to test? Let's say after a Dhamma talk, after a Sutta study, after retreat, after any piece of Dhamma advice, you are learning from a book, anything, you need to bring it to your life and think, do I have this particular quality? Where am I in my practice? What is happening to me in my life at the moment? You have to cross-check that. So that is what we understand by this experiential perspective. The evolution of trust into wisdom in Buddhism, trust is not meant to remain static. What does it mean? Trust, saddha, is not meant to remain static. It is transforming, right? It is changing, gradually transforming into wisdom. Initially, trust encourages practice. When you learn from Dhamma talks, suttas, it encourages our practice. Through practice, your understanding deepens, and eventually that understanding matures into insight. Say wisdom. Arahant Sariputta represents the completion of this process. His confidence, trust in the Dhamma does not arise from believing the Buddha's words alone, but from verifying them in his own mind. Thus, trust, saddha, is not abandoned, but fulfilled when it blossoms into direct knowledge. Unique role of the noble disciple, Arya Savaka. Arahant Sariputta exemplifies the ideal noble disciple. A noble disciple does not merely repeat the teachings, but embodies them through realization. Because Arahant Sariputta had attained the paths, Magga, fruits, Pala. What are Magga, Pala? There are 8. If you look at Magga, Pala together. Sotapanna Magga, Sotapatti Pala. Sakadagami Magga, Sakadagami Pala. Anagami Magga, Anagami Pala. Arahanta Magga, Arahanta Pala. So path and fruits through deep meditation cultivation. His understanding stood on an entirely different level from us. The Buddha's defense of him shows that true realization grants a form of certainty that transcends doctrinal reliance. It certainly arises from insight into the nature of reality itself. Yatha Buddha Jnanadasa. This is quite interesting. Misjudgment within spiritual communities. The reaction of the other monks, 30 monks, reveals how easily profound statement. Let me tell you before we put this, after Buddha taught this stanza, and then after he taught 30 monks about what happened, it is said that they attained Nibbana with 4 Patisambhava. But we are still talking what happened halfway. So the reaction of the other monks, 30 monks, who came to Jetavarama at this point, reveals how easily profound statements can be misunderstood. Hearing Arahant Sariputta say he did not rely on trust, they assumed he doubted the Buddha. This demonstrates how people sometimes interpret statements according to their own limited perspective. Spiritual communities are not immune to misunderstanding, especially when deeper experiences are described in language that challenges conventional expectations. Story reminds practitioners to avoid quick judgments about others' spiritual understandings. Are we making quick judgments about others' spirituality in our context? Do people do that? People do, right? May I know one example of that kind of a quick judgment about somebody? A spiritual misunderstanding? One thing maybe, there are some who are trying to quickly judge about others' spiritual development, especially with regard to attainments, right? Some people are driven by this kind of a misjudgment. So we don't have to quickly judge such things. Even we were asked to judge like that. So perhaps we cannot understand it in that moment. We should let some more time to come to understand. Perhaps we have to learn a bit more. So these monks, they misunderstood earlier. The Buddha's role as clarifier of truth. The Buddha intervened to correct the monks' misunderstanding and defend Arahant Sariputta. In doing so, he clarified an important doctrine point. Arahant Sariputta's knowledge, Dhamma knowledge, was based on personal realization, verification through meditation and cultivation. So the Buddha's explanation shows his role not only as a teacher, but also as a protector of correct, right understanding within the community. By explaining Arahant Sariputta's words, the Buddha ensured that the monks understood the difference between doubt and belief. That means Buddha also protected his disciples, right? At times, when there's a need, he protected them with regard to their Dhamma practice, right? And then, okay, the relationship between meditation and insight. This is also clear here. And the last one is the Dhamma encourages personal verification. Ultimately, the story illustrates one of the most distinctive features of Buddha's teachings. It encourages personal verification of truth. The Buddha did not demand unquestioning belief, but invited disciples to practice until they could see the truths themselves. Arahant Sariputta's example demonstrates the fulfillment of this invitation. All right, so personal verification. What are we going to talk about? That thing. What do you think about the personal verification? Do you do that? Do you personally verify certain things? I mean, we are not able to do saddha in that way until we attain Nibbana. But for other things, are you personally verifying certain things? Give me one example. Think about one daily challenge that you are going through. Let's say you are a very rushing person. You are rushing all the time. You are not only rushing, because you are rushing, you want to rush other people also. Right? Now you understand this rushing is not a good thing. I am intimidating other people in my this impulsive, compulsive act. So what are you going to do? You need to personally verify what is happening to you. Right? And then you will understand if I supposed to have metta towards others, I have to bring metta in that act. You know, there are people who are practicing metta and then rushing other people. Have you seen that? They practice metta as a mantra at night. May I be well, be peaceful. But that practice has not gone to a personal verification. They don't understand how it is going to work out in daily life. So they have to now personally verify, is my metta really in my actions, really in my speech, really in my thoughts? Then next time I should not rush myself, also other people. This is one thing to verify. Another thing, I have to verify Dhamma with my speech. When I talk, when I open my mouth, how much of akusala that I am making with regard to my speech. Or am I creating lots of kusala with regard to my speech? Am I lying? Am I more lying or am I more speaking the truth? Am I more behind? Am I more talking behind the back? Am I more unifying the people through my speech? Am I become more unpleasant in my speech to others? Am I become very gentle, kind, and pleasant in my speech to others and to myself? Am I gossiping all the time? Am I becoming very meaningful with regard to my words, with regard to how I talk? I mean, I have to sometimes give a rest to my speech. I don't think I have to talk all the time. I have to use words in moderation. So do this verification. If you don't do this verification, you cannot go to that kind of a higher level of verification like Arhan Sariputta did. Right? So we have to personally verify our practice in our daily life. That's what we understand. Okay, final thing before we go for any Q&A. Chatupatisamhita. Okay, so these 4 monks, sorry, these 30 monks become enlightened with 4 Patisamhita. Arahan Sariputta already an Arahan with 4 Patisamhita. Let's understand what is Patisamhita. The word Patisamhita means analytical knowledge or penetrative understanding about any Dhamma concept. These are special abilities possessed by some Arahants, not all. What are they? Atta, Dhamma, Nirutti, Patipada. Atta Patisamhita, analytical knowledge of meaning, ability to understand the deep meaning of Dhamma teachings. Dhammapatisamhita, analytical knowledge of phenomena or doctrine, understanding the structure, causes, and conditions and categories of Dhamma. Niruttipatisamhita, analytical knowledge of language and expression. That means the language with regard to Magadhi language that the Buddha spoke. Able to express the Dhamma clearly in words, languages, and expression. That means Niruttipatisamhita means in order for someone to become that kind of an Arahant, that Arahant should be able to well-versed in the Magadhi language. That means the Pali language which you are talking now. The Buddha didn't use Pali. He used Magadhi. This language is called Magadhi, the language of Magadha state. But later on, it was started to call as Pali. Actually, Pali is a word in the Magadhi dictionary. If you learn Magadhi language, in that language, if you read books, if you look for a lexicon, dictionary, you see Pali, line, paddy field, basket, lots of meanings about it. But anyway, now we are using it as Pali, and otherwise you might be confused. What is Magadhi? Magadhi is the language which the Buddha used. So anyways, this Magadhi, or nowadays you are calling Pali, when you become an Arahant, when someone is becoming an Arahant with Patisamhita, they also have this ability to analytically discuss the Dhamma through language and expression. That's it here. And finally, Patibhana Patisamhita, analytical knowledge of ready wisdom, eloquence. Ready wisdom. Ready wisdom means the spontaneous ability to answer questions, teaching skillfully. In Mahayana, we call it Upaya Kaushalya. You read it. Upaya Kaushalya. And clarify subtle issues. That means when an arahant who has Kopati is to give a Dhamma talk, they are skillfully giving the Dhamma talk. Okay. So that is what we learn. Actually, there is a very clear-cut distinction between these two groups: arahants, normal arahants, and arahants with Chatpani. See, these four abilities are often associated with critics like arahant Sariputta, arahant Mokkana. Difference: arahant without Patisambhina. These are generally normal arahants. Fully liberated, defilement destroyed, no rebirth. But this is different. May not be skilled in explaining the Dhamma. Why? Because they don't have these four. Okay. Some monks became arahants but remained quiet meditators. It's like a meditator who is quietly meditating. There is no impact on other people. It's like you go to the forest and meditate, you enlighten, but what are you doing to society? Because you are not skilled in giving that. And then, next group, arahants with four patisambhina. Same, liberated, but these are relevant to them. Defilements destroyed, no rebirth, but additionally has extra analytical mastery, can explain Dhamma in many ways, can answer complex philosophical Dhamma questions. Arahant Sariputta is the best example. He could systematically explain the Buddha's teachings. Can you tell me one place where we know this ability from the Buddha's own words about Arahant Sariputta? There's sutta about it, where Buddha teaches other monks that Arahant Sariputta is fully capable, the most capable person of delivering the Dhamma.
The Satya
Vibhanga Sutta. What are the abilities that he had in that sutta? Achikkana, Desana, Panyapana, Pattapana, Vivarana, Vibhajana, Uttanikana. Seven abilities Arahant Sariputta had in delivering a Dhamma talk. I will give you a very simple example. Don't have time to discuss all that. When it comes to Uttanikam, Achikkana, Desana, Panyapana, Pattapana, Vivarana, Vibhajana, Uttani. Uttanikam means these abilities have a very special ability, which means Arahant Sariputta can make the deep Dhamma shallow. Sometimes you listen to a deep Dhamma talk, you will become more complicated. You listen to karma and then you went to learn simple karma, but when you come back home, it is too complicated now. I shouldn't have wrote it. It's why this Uttani Kamma didn't happen. Right? The delivery was not, we are not talking bad about anybody. It didn't happen. But when Arahant Sariputta discussed Dhamma, he made deep Dhamma shallow. So we can tap into that knowledge. Right? So he is the best example. But there are so many other Arahants also who attain Nibbana with. Why do some Arahants have it and others don't? The difference comes from past cultivation. We discussed it earlier. To obtain Patisambhida, a practitioner must have developed deep wisdom over many lives, samsaric life, cultivated study like you, reflection, reaching abilities, made aspirations to become great Dhamma teachers. Oh, very interesting stuff. This table. Normal Arahant, liberation complete, but teaching ability may be limited. Arahant with Patisambhida, same completion, trigger liberation, but very powerful for delivery of Dhamma. Why can some attain Nibbana alone? Because Nibbana depends on wisdom, not intellectual ability in that way. Some practitioners, they have strong cultivation, analytical teaching ability. A simple example, two people reach the top of a mountain by walking or trekking. Person A, person B, person A reaches the summit, enjoys the view, stays silent. Second person Sami can explain every path, rock, direction, all the tiny details, small details, big details. Both reach the summit, but the second has analytical mass. So the four Patisambidas don't make someone more enlightened. They make someone more capable of explaining. Enlightenment is same, but when someone can attain Nibbana in four Patisambhida, that person can truly impact the Dhamma community. So all Arahants are equal in the Vimutti or Nibbana. Some are better teachers because of these abilities. All right, so going back, what we're going to learn about this story is that Saddha is a different thing when it comes to an Arahant. All right, now we have a couple of questions here. How is the initial trust in the Buddha developed? For many, it is from past lives. How to help allow? Okay, I will answer that part. Initial trust will be developing according to Chanki Sutta. There's a sutta called Chanki. In this Chanki Sutta, Buddha says, Saddha Jato Upasankamati. Upasankamanto Pai. That means through Dhamma talk, listening to Dhamma is where you are improving it, learning and listening and all that. How to help a loved one who doesn't have much faith or interest in the Buddha or is not interested in spiritual development or dislikes anything with religion due to personal negative experiences or abuse by religious persons, basically. Well, it depends. It depends what the way for those people. I think a good teacher will bring them to Dhamma if they really want to learn, but there are certain things that they don't like. So it depends. I mean, perhaps, as you said, they were abused. So perhaps they have to be treated in the best possible way with regard to a good teacher, and a good teacher will teach them. As a Kalyana Mitta, perhaps you can try different ways. Maybe you can bring them to a temple, let them do simple activities like dana and all that. Don't ask people to come and listen to a Dhamma talk in the first place. Let them engage in certain ritual activities a little bit, activities that they can do, and slowly that is something you can do. But I think the biggest impact that can happen for these people could come from a good teacher directing. Bhante, please spell all these five. I will do it later on WhatsApp. Could you explain the samadhi again by giving an example? So I would say when you are too much concentrated about your what you call mental states, you will only like jhanas. You want to be too concentrated just because you want to get a jhana. So that is an over practice, right? I mean, even you practice anapanasati, you will come to a jhana automatically. But what if someone is doing only to get that jhana so that the person is over concentrated? If one finds that she is more agreeable with the Buddha's teaching compared to other religions, is that definitely. That is, we understand. But we respect other religions. Arahants without Padisambhida, are they Pacceka Buddhas? Not necessarily. Actually, Pacceka Buddhas also have the same quality. They also cannot deliver. But, there is a difference. Arahants who don't have Chatupati they don't have the full enlightenment. Pacceka Buddhas have the full enlightenment, just like the Samma Sambuddha, but they cannot deliver what is to be given from full enlightenment. But with regard to normal Arahants, they cannot give the conceptual teachings about enlightenment. So the full enlightenment, not being able to deliver full enlightenment teachings regarding with regard to the Pacceka Buddhas, not being able to simply teach about enlightenment teachings is what is happening to normal Arahants. All right, any more questions in the flow before we go to the transference of merits? You can raise your virtual hand if you have. Yes, Doris, please. Can you please unmute? Yeah.
Thank you, Bhante.
Yes.
Does that mean that there are different levels of enlightenment, like the higher enlightenment, fully enlightenment, and the not so fully
Not different levels. I could say different choices of enlightenment, because one wants to become a Samma Sambuddha, and that person becomes a Samma Sambuddha as a
Oh, I
Bodhisattva.
see.
Another person wants to become a Pacceka Buddha, and he has or she has that particular enlightenment. Someone simply wants to attain Nibbana, Arahant without Patisamhita. But there is another one who is not even cultivating Dhamma, also learning Dhamma. Some people, they don't want to learn, right?
Yeah.
There are other practitioners, they say, why to study Sutta? Why to study Dhamma? I just only do my own. They are becoming normal Arahants, quiet
Oh, I see.
meditations. But when you practice it, actually, Buddhists are supposed to be altruistic people, right? To support other people. We not only think about mind about my or your own enlightenment. I think it's better to go that way. Learn Dhamma and teach Dhamma, do those things. It will help us having that analytical knowledge, and then finally end up with the enlightenment for Patisamhita.
Okay, that's a choice for me, Bhante.
It's a choice. I think it's a better choice. It's a
Alright.
better,
Thank
wholesome.
you, Bhante.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Also, if you want more information, there's a book in the Khuddaka Nikaya called Patisambhida Magga, which is attributed to Arahant Sariputta and his disciples.
Can you please write it down? Write it down.
Patisambhida Magga.
Patisambhida Magga.
It's a book like Dhammapada.
Okay, thank you, Bhante.
All right, there are no questions. So most of these are going to be very personal readings for you. And I think now you know that it's better to become an Arahant with some support for other delivery, right? So learning and analytical things, I think they all are going to help us to become as such. So may all the good karmas that we've been making today through learning about Arahant Sariputta, especially Patisambhida, non-Patisambhida Arahants, be transferred to all departed ones who passed away in the name of all of us. May they receive all these good karmas. May they attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Idang me nyati nang hotu sukita huntu nyateyo. Idang me nyati nang hotu sukita huntu nyateyo. Idang me nyati nang hotu sukita huntu nyateyo. May Deva Naga Mahitika receive all these good karmas which we have been making today by learning about this beautiful verse and about Arahants, nature of them, especially with regard to enlightenment and how they deliver Dhamma message. So may all these Deva Naga Mahitika be well and happy. May they bless and protect all of us for good health, quality of life, prosperity, happiness, safety. And may they also finally attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Ittavata cha amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sambasang patti siddhya. Ittavata cha amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe bhuta anumodantu sambasang patti siddhya. Ittavata cha amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe satta anumodantu sabbasang patti siddhya. Akasattha cha bhummattha devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakhantu sasanam. Akasattha cha bhummattha devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakhantu desanam. Akasattha cha bhummattha devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakhantu mang parang chirang rakhantu mang sadati. Next is Dhammavish. Dhammavish is always to be surrounded with Kalyana Mitras, more Kalyana Mitras. Kalyana Mitras are those who have more Saddha, similar to Sattva, trust in the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, and more Saddha, more Sila, more Chaga, more Panya, May we always be surrounded with them. At the same time, may we become Kalyana Mittras to as many sentient beings as we meet in our samsaric life. So with this noble intention, let us do Dhamma. Imina punya kamena mami bala samagamu satang samagamu hotu yavanimbana patya. Blessings. Finally, may all the good karmas we'll be making today in our OPRC class we support you and helpful for all of us to attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Abhivadana siddhissa niccang vaddha prachayino chattaru dhamma vaddhanti ayuvanno sukhang balang ayurarupya sampatti sagga sampatti nivacha ato nibbana sampatti iminati samichatu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. With those blessings, wishing you a pleasant good evening till we see again next Thursday at the same time. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Bhante.
Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Bhante.
Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante. Sadhu,
Good
sadhu,
night,
sadhu.
everyone.
Thank you
Thank you,
and good night,
everyone.
everybody. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Yeah, thank you, Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante.
Terima kasih, Bhante.
Thank you. Thank you, Bhante, for your guidance. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.